Hey, love, can you hop on my site and see if I shared that right? Yeah? Um, did you go to my original post? That's where I said I'd post it. Click it, see if it works. Do you see me? Do you see me? Can you hear me? How many fingers am I holding up?
Hang on. You're holding up two.
Okay. Well, it still says I have 0 viewers, but I don't know what that means.
Well, I don't know either, but I see you.
Okay.
I'm going to send this out and let folks see you. See how it works.
Okay.
Control copy.
Yeah, because I tried to post it on a couple things, but you go right ahead.
Okay. Can you see me still?
I can see you.
Okay, I'm going to the stiltbeast page. Oh, you did post to the stiltbeast page. Okay.
I think so.
Page. Yeah, it's there. Going to wife's page.
Now I have a viewer. I'm trying to figure this out, guys, so bear with me. But as long as you can see what I'm doing, I'm good. Now, wife, the world can see you too, just so you know.
Oh, lovely.
So I'm going to hide you from broadcast.
Yay! Well, I'm about to leave anyway. I can see you, but you're shaded in. Hi. There you are.
All right. I'm hoping that I'll be able to hear questions as they come, because I don't really have a way to monitor them while I'm working. So yeah, right now I don't see anybody, so I don't know if I need anything. All right. So I do not know what I am doing, but I exist. It's very close. At 7:53. I'm gonna grab a couple things real quick so I can get started. Yes, it's on YouTube and video on my YouTube channel, and it should be right. My YouTube channel. So it's still YouTube. I guess watch for questions. See if you can there with me. Just yell it out from the protocol. So you know what? Let me make sure you can hear me. Hey, wife, can you hear me? Good. That means everybody home can hear me. Awesome. There's 10 people watching. I just can't see any. It's kind of weird. It's like I know people are watching me, but I'm alone. All right. I officially start in 5 minutes. I'm going to hop on the iPad and pull up some reference material. Okay, I did a Google image search. I actually have I work at Dark Hour, which is a witch-themed haunted attraction, and there's something that we're kind of missing. I think that we need a couple witches' cats just sleeping around the show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sculpt that curled up black cat, and then I'm going to make sure that I can animate it. You might have seen the breathing, it's just a little motor mechanism in it to make it look like it's breathing. I'm going to make one of those basically, but I'm doing the sculpt tonight, and then we can animate it later. And I'll also make it so that his tail can kind of flip. You know, when a cat's annoyed, their tails can flip. And so that's going to be what my sculpt is for tonight. That's something I think I can knock out in 2 hours. I'm going to add hair to it later, but that's obviously not tonight. Tonight I will just get kind of the bones of this guy done. He'll be all sculpted and ready to mold by the end of this. I'm shooting for about 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm a pretty fast sculptor. I'm hoping that my wife is monitoring the questions. If anybody has any questions, I was hoping I'd kind of see people pop up and I could hear them. So if there's a way that people can do that, maybe they could do that, and that'd be awesome, because then I got someone I can talk to and they can ask me questions directly and I can answer. as opposed to me just talking to myself in my garage like a crazy man, which is normal. I did not get a chance to pick up all my sculpting tools, so I'll kind of be working rudimentary tonight, which is how I normally work anyway. I stole a little fork from the wife, and have a bunch of popsicle sticks. They're pretty important because I can cut different shapes in them and different gouges and use them for all kinds of stuff. I have a little paintbrush, but that's not going to use this till way later. I'll probably use this little rounded end of the paintbrush sooner. Earlier, like I said, I did not have a chance to get my sculpting tools, but I made a very simple wire loop. I just twisted up some wire with a drill and pliers, and I put it inside of this old pen, and so I can, use this to kind of gouge clay. It's still drying a little bit, so I'm going to put it back on here because it's. I used JB Weld on it. I used JB Weld to hold it into the pen, so that's still setting up a little bit. By the time I need it, it should be dry. And a wire for cutting clay. This is actually just a piece of nice poly string. It's really good stuff for clay cutting. And iPad, Google image search on what I'm sculpting, which is a sleeping curled up cat. I want to note that I'm not sculpting just on my big table. I'm actually sculpting on this smaller piece of wood. That way I can turn it to you guys. But I do almost all my projects on smaller pieces. That way, if I need to move this project to work on something else, I can easily lift it up and get all my tools are right here. I can move it. If I have to sculpt somewhere else, like finish it at dark hour or whatever, I could take this to get molded. And if it was on my table, that'd be a much more difficult process. So thinking ahead, I always use project board. The clay that I'm using is water-based clay, and I like water-based clay because it's very fast. I said I'm a fast sculptor. One of those reasons is I always use water-based clay, which is a very fast medium. It won't hold as sharp a detail because it's very easy to mush. It's very easy. You can get different shapes and textures in it. So if you even set it down, if the sculpture's too big, it can sag. And the big thing that people don't like is water-based clay can dry out. I always work with a spray bottle, and that's going to help me keep from drying out. And also change the consistency of the clay. If I want to get a fine texture, I can wet it down and then work on it. Just opening a box of clay here. All right. As a sculptor, I've been sculpting a long time. You might think that I know what I'm doing, and why would I need pictures and reference? You need pictures and reference. You think you know what a cat looks like when it's sleeping and curled up, but there's so many subtleties and so many this muscle's on top of this one, and when they're curled a certain way, this does this. That's where all these images that I've got are just going to save me and tell me what I need to know about this sleeping cat. I'm kind of going to pick one, and I'll focus on that cat image and get it where I want it to go. So now I'm going through the references, and this is kind of the non-glorious part where, I'm getting all my references set up ahead of time. It's something that you would want to do so you have what you need. All right, I have some people who are watching. That's awesome. I'm sure that you're there. this is the curled up cat that I will be doing, because I can kind of see the paws. He's got a good shape. The head is going to be nice. I'm having actually another artist at work do a different one so that we can have a couple different Black Witches cats kind of sleeping throughout the show. So that's what I'm going for. And I'll probably have to go back and look at pictures of curled cats from different angles, because this is 3D and that's a 2D image. I just can't see it all at once. But I have a decent sized lump of clay here right now that I'm going to start. And I want this to be a good sized cat. I don't want him to be a tiny cat. I want him to be a cat sized cat. You know, he's got to be able to win a street fight, you know. I do not expect to have a ton of viewers tonight. Really, I'm kind of testing the software. I know it's a holiday. People probably have barbecues going on. They don't need to watch a fat guy sweat in his garage. But some people may be into that. And I apologize for the Godzilla syndrome, which is happening right now on the screen a little bit, because I'm working on the table that my camera's resting on. And I'll take this off of here. No, I'll leave it on. I'm going to spin this just a little bit. And right now, I'm really just trying to get this curled shape into this. So, you know, I took some pieces off and I put them down here. You know, I put more down here. This is going to be one of the paws eventually. That's going to go right there. You know, he's kind of got his paw doing this. And I'm just doing placeholders, you know. This is kind of this, that's kind of this. I'll get all my placeholders set, and then I'll really be able to start focusing in. I think of sculpture as kind of a JPEG coming up on your computer. It starts really fuzzy, and I want that general blob to be right first. So I know I have to build up quite a bit here for this curl to come down for the head. You might hear me talking to my wife in the other room, because she is in the other room, and I have charged her with helping me a little bit. Pretty soon, I'm hoping that she'll be free to monitor questions. So if you have any and you're watching on YouTube, you can post your question in the comments, and I think my wife can answer. I don't know why no one's popping up with me. I guess you're all watching on YouTube, and that's fine too. If you want to join the Hangout but don't know how, I don't know how to either, so I can't help you. But I do sympathize with your wants and your needs. Know that. If I knew how to get people on here with me, I would do that. These are, I think they're plastic scrapers. I get them from Harbor Freight, surprise, and they're super cheap. I think I get like 20 of them for $3. And I use these all the time for sculpting. I'll cut notches out of them, and then I can run that over a lump of clay, and that'll give me a nice bead. You know what? I'll show that, because I brought a couple of these suckers. I'm going to cut something fun in it. Like if I were doing some architectural sculpting, you know, I just cut that half circle there. But now I can take my clay and I can just scrape down until it's going to give me that rounded bead that I cut out. Pretty much exactly. I'm not going to take all the time to show you. I think you guys get the idea. I'm in a garage in Texas, so it's roughly 400 degrees. On the other side of the table behind the computer, I'm cooking biscuits. It's not entirely true. What's funny is that you guys are like, oh, I'm watching Alan sculpt or whatever. Or, you know, what is this? I don't even know if you guys know how you got here. But right now you're watching me sculpt. It's kind of neat. I have no idea what you're doing. I had to put on pants. That doesn't always happen in the shop. But I figured if people are watching, I should have on the pants. And what's also kind of cool is I can just watch the viewers plummet. Boom, 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 boom. Had like 25 once. Now it's 19. I have managed to offend several people pretty quickly. Or they got a barbecue going on. It's a holiday. Now they're like, oh, he's going to make us feel guilty if we leave. No, that's not the case. All right, I'm kind of making the blob that is the head. I'm working on that right now. You guys are kind of as mobile. There's a bit of a distinction between this blob and this blob. It's kind of hard to see, but it's happening. Right now I'm doing the head blob here.
Go.
And you can see I'm just watching this. I'm trying to get this silhouette the same. We've got a little hump going on right here. That's this shoulder blade. And then behind I've got a curve that curves around and down to the head. But I'm just going for one silhouette. I'll fill in all the back and stuff as I need to. I'm really just trying to get that outline and that shape. I'm working on one plane at a time. I want this 2 dimensions to look good, and then I'll start working around on my other 2 dimensions. I'm going to split you guys for now so you can see my head. I don't know why, but I feel it's important that if someone is talking to you, you should be able to see their head. I just ripped his head off because I want to give him that little cat snout.
Those, or if you've room.
Animals are hard. So what I'm doing here is actually kind of a hard thing to sculpt. Everybody knows what a cat looks like. And you might not be able to draw a cat, you know, based on memory, but if its proportions are off, you'll know it. You're like, oh, that cat's inbred. You know, you'll be able to see it right away that there's something wrong with this cat. So I'm going to basically squeeze this into a good cat shape. You know, I've got that pointed nose, but that's basic. That's all I'm going for right now. Now I can put this onto there, like a net. And I'll probably pull that off several times and put it back on, because I've got paws to do underneath of it. Here's that back leg that I brought out. I've just got some clay that I'm working on it.
What?
Hey, wife, you see any questions in the YouTube comments? Okay. If you are watching and you can hear me, can you just post hi in the YouTube comments so I know it's working? I am kind of field testing this right now. Just say, hello, you know, that's a blob of gray clay. Got it. I was hoping to see something cool. Whatever. Just post something in the comments so I can make sure that I'm getting those. Am I getting them? Here's a trick. I'm doing 2 body parts that are the same size. So I'm doing the ears right now. So I took a piece of clay, and it's one blob of clay, and I'm kind of shaping an ear on both sides. Very general, very basic. I'm not going through detail. And then I split it in half. Because I split it in half, I know that both my ears are the same size. If I fully sculpted one ear, then I would have to work very hard to sculpt the other ear in order to get it to be the same size. It would be a lot harder. And I'm all about easy, as you guys know. Or some of you know. You may not know. Hey, wife? Can you see any YouTube comments? Can you make a YouTube comment? So I'm looking now, and I'm just feeling the muscles. I know that right now, look at that sleeping cat back there. This is this back leg that's coming, and I know I have to get it aimed a little more towards his head. So I'm going to pull that out. I got to pull out the clay that's in here. I'm just going to do that with a popsicle stick. I love these things for sculpting. because this back leg goes all the way up under his head. And I have to be able to do that. It's also, it's a lot longer. So I need to get a longer leg here. I'm just going to take this off. I'll let this land where I want it, which is right about here under his head, based on that picture back there. And now I'll fill this in. Doesn't have to all be one piece. I can make it up a bunch of little pieces. That is certainly okay. What I want to make sure that I have is I want to make sure that I have a space here that is big enough to show breathing and to show movement. Its tail is going to be able to curl around this way, and I'll be able to make it flip, kerflop, kerflip, kerflop, just like, you know, cat stuff does, cat tails do. Now this real long leg looks a little weird. I talked about popsicle sticks a second ago, but I'm going to cut this off so I have a flat end to my popsicle stick. Before I had this rounded end to my popsicle stick, and that won't get me the shape that I want here. So I can flatten it with this, get that nice and flat. Then I can take another popsicle stick. I'm going to use that flat edge again. Just cut a bit of an angle. And with that bit of an angle, I can dig under, and that's going to make it look a little more three-dimensional because it looks like, you know, it's kind of folding over itself, and it goes up underneath. If it were just flat, that would look a little unnatural. I want to try to not spray my iPad. Tell you what, though, eventually the iPad or the computer is going to get doused. That's just how it's going to happen. It knew the drill when it was coming in the shop. And this clay's a little stiff. It's been in a garage in Texas for a long time. Water-based clay dries up and it gets harder. So I'm adding a little more water to it. I've probably had this clay here for a number of years. See, that's that point that I'm just gouging in here with. Now I can just take that and kind of knock that back so it's a little more natural. It's going to take a lot to refine this and get it where it needs to go. I hear a lot of clicking. Hey, that's my wife.
I'm sorry. For some reason, I cannot sign in on YouTube.
But you're on the Hangout now. Everybody can see my wife.
I can see you, and I can see you on YouTube, but I cannot sign in order to check comments or to make a comment.
You can't even see the comments on a video without signing in?
If there are no comments, there's nothing to see. At the moment, I don't see anything.
Can anyone who's watching, it says I have 23 viewers, please post a comment on YouTube, just for testing purposes. As soon as that happens and I know we can see them, then I will be able to stop talking about it and asking. We're spinning this kitty here. You might want to kill your microphone, honey, as I can hear heavy sighing.
Sorry.
Which could make people think you are annoyed with me. We don't want that.
All right.
She's probably annoyed with me.
I am not annoyed with you.
Okay, so it's kind of vaguely cat-like. I'm not a super awesome sculptor. I always say, if I sculpt a duck, you know it's a duck, but you do not expect it to get up and fly away. There are some sculptors, when they sculpt something like a duck, you expect that duck to fly away because they're just that good. I am not that good. I get the point across. I can knock out a concept in clay pretty quickly, and I am thankful for that. All right, I'm just using my scraper now to go along the body and sort of smooth out. Getting smooth is an important thing. It's an important step. It's a tough step. It's a tool called a rake. I'm using a hacksaw, a blade from a saber saw or a not a sawzall, saber saw. And I'm basically using it to make comb-like marks with its teeth in both directions, which is just going to help me smooth out. It'll knock off all those high points so that it gets smoother. It seems weird that I'm messing up the texture to go smooth, but that's what you do. See an area back here that needs a little bit of attention. This cat has immediate head as opposed to a little bit of neck. It needs to be a little more gradual, so I'm filling that in as I watch. I'm going for a slightly cartoon look on this. I don't necessarily want it to be, 100% realistic. It's got to be a little bit over the top because, it's going in a haunted house, it's going in dramatic lighting, so you're not going to, if it's not too detailed, you can lose it in dim lights. So I want to overstate things. A lot of that's going to be paint, yes, but I also want to overstate it a bit in the forms. So it's exaggerated. I want the cat to look mean. Cats don't have eyebrows that I can drag down to make them look pissed off, but I will, even though it doesn't have them, I'm going to fake it. And I should be sculpting on the head here, because that's really the most expressive part. That's what I'm going to worry about, the most. Is get the body right as far as get the body to where people know it's a cat, and then you get all my expression out of the head, because that's where you look on any kind of an animal. And I'm going to round off this back here, pull it around some. I am diligently working on a cat's rear end. I am probably not the first person to say that on YouTube.
Alan?
Yes?
I just received a message that says, I am signed in to Google and YouTube and seeing both comments and see and hear you both.
Wow, okay. You got a Facebook message that said that?
I do.
Awesome. But you can't see any comments to help me out with questions.
I can't sign into YouTube. I'm sure it's a problem with the browser, but I can see
on a Mac.
YouTube. I just can't sign in.
Okay. Can you just make an account real quick?
I have an account. I cannot sign in.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what that's about. Let me go try on my phone, okay?
Please. Thank you. I know I'm going to be clayed up, so I really cannot get on the computer with these gunky hands and try and find anything. Or I'll kill this computer like I have my last three. I want this one to last a little bit. I have a person. Who is this? That's Kevin. Is that Kevin Haggard?
Yes. Yes,
I
sir.
can tell by your hair. It's awesome. Hey, can you see comments and stuff?
No. All I see is video and a couple other windows.
Okay. Well, right now I'm sculpting a cat. Have you been here for a while? Or you just pop in.
I just popped in to see how this thing was going to work.
Well, we'll find out together because I got no idea. Once again, I'm doing something that I do not know what I'm doing. But I think it's a good idea, so let's do it. I'm sculpting a sleeping cat. And Kevin, if you have any questions, I think you're one of the only people on right now. If you have any questions, then, well, I've got 29 viewers, but I only see you and my wife. So I don't know what that means or how it works. I guess they're watching on YouTube. I wanted to do a sleeping cat for dark hour and a couple of, because it's a witch place.
Okay.
So they need some sleeping cats for detail. Some black witchy cats. So I'm kind of just roughing out the form. I've got my iPad back here with my visual references. And mostly so far, I've used popsicle sticks and this Harbor Freight scraper.
I think a lot of it is I had to, of course, download the app. I'm on my iPad, and
Gotcha.
then I had to go back in and click your link again to get the actual video feed.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if others are confused about how to get in.
Well, if they can see and hear me, I mean, I guess that's good, but I really would love for, some folks to ask some questions. That way I'm not that crazy guy talking to himself in his garage.
You do that anyway.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But if I were alone, I wouldn't have to have pants on. Kevin actually does a lot of work with stiltbeast Studios. For those of you guys who are watching and not on air with us, Kevin actually makes all my clown masks. He is my my clown expert. I'm not a big clown guy, so I kind of feel that if you're doing it, you should be passionate about it. And Kevin is passionate about clowns. I kind of showed him how I make the mask, the technique, and the process, and he knocks out the clowns. So if you've seen a scary clown mask, odds are pretty good Kevin was involved. Kevin, do you have spacecraft landing in the room behind you?
No, we're camping.
You're what? Where are you?
We're in Glenrose.
Oh, gotcha. Neat. That's where all the dinosaur fossils are.
Yes, we went there today. We're not actually at that park. We found this is like it's a RV park right in the middle of town, but it's really nice.
All right, so Kevin, listen. If you love yourself, you will find a barbecue place called Coyote Loco, or Loco Coyote.
Okay.
Which is the best food I think I've had in my life. I had a cheeseburger there that was awesome. They have awesome barbecue and burgers. It's a crazy place and delicious. And it's in Glenrose. Loco Coyote, I think. Do it. All right.
I think that's that girl wearing a t-shirt today.
Is this vaguely cat-like, sleeping cat-like to you right now?
I knew exactly what it was before I even saw your iPad in the back.
Oh, okay, awesome. So good. I'm on the right track then.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's great about sculpting and clay in general, I have mad respect for anybody who used to carve stone, because they can't do stuff. They can't do stuff like pull the head off so they can work on the paws. If it's in my way, I'm just going to get this head out of the way so I can get these paws detailed. Because I'm looking at how his paws are laid out, and they're under the head. That would be in my way. I just have to make sure that my head's not a blob of clay so I don't rip anything off of it in order to get more material. Because my material clay is right back here behind it. Which I've done before. I cut off a nose to work on the upper lip, and then I grabbed the nose and wadded it up like an Egypt.
Shannon was so thrilled.
I know.
Shannon is intently focused. That's the face.
I saw that.
That is intense focus.
I am denied access to my account.
Oh, no.
YouTube and I are at odds, which is why I'm focused.
Okay.
I cannot get in.
All right. So I am kind of flying blind, and I cannot answer any questions. I'm not a jerk. I'm not ignoring you. I can't see anything that you're asking. I would love to, but that's not going to happen.
Mm-mm.
Somebody else is trying to get on.
How do we know that they're trying to get on?
Well, I see another.
Is a square
window
popping
down at
up
the
and
bottom.
going away?
Dead.
Yeah, I'm trying to lay out all these 4 kitty paws right now. and get them all to be about the same size. My assumption is they're all right there together, but I guess only 3 would be, because his other leg is curled up under him. And that's why I've got to look at other pictures real quick. Just to make sure that I'm on the right track, because this is going to give me other angles.
Alan,
Yeah, yes?
Bobby Atkinson has
Yes.
written me a message and says, I tried to get two-way audio via Google Hangouts. It just tried to make a video call to Alan. I can't find any place to enable audio for talking back. Have Alan ask Kevin how he got in and got it to work. We can hear you, Alan and Kevin.
All right. So you guys, Kevin, can you try and help them out and say what you did?
Okay. The first thing I did was I downloaded the Hangout app on my iPad. I don't know if they're on a computer or what they're on. And then it was the same thing. It was like doing FaceTime or something. But then I went back and clicked on Alan's link that he put on his comments, and it went straight to the video screen where I could see everybody.
Okay. So you guys know I've cut a popsicle stick to that point, and I can do different grades of points and different pointiness of points. And I'm going to use this to make the kitty toes. They have 4 toes up front. And actually, cat's paws are pretty close together. You can't see anything because of fat hand, but what's happening is that I'm just pushing this kind of through the clay. Here's a stunt paw that I'm not using. I'm just kind of running a line down that to divide and make the toes. And then I can go back and round them so they're a little more realistic, like cat knuckles. I'm doing these feet that are here, and because this is a witch's cat, I'm going to definitely go in and give him claws and stuff, even though you wouldn't see a cat's claws while it's sleeping. But I've got to up this a little bit. It's got to be a little larger than life. That's one of the things that I'm going to add into it. It's some claws, because it's a witch's cat. It's got to be a little bit mean. I'm going to test fit the head over these paws, see how this looks. So there is no tail on this yet. I've got to do the tail. I'm going to start on just kind of fixing in the tail here. So by the end of this, I'll have a bunch of differently cut popsicle sticks that I use for different things. You know, if I want an edge to go one way or the other, I'll use the popsicle sticks for that. Right now, I'm just going to kind of carve in where I think a tail base would start. And it's not just where I think. And I'm not just picking a spot. I'm looking at the picture, and I'm looking at where his starts. I do want to go from life as much as possible. I do want as much accuracy as I can get, pretty much. A lot of bad sculptors out there. And don't get me wrong, a bad sculptor is on his way to being a good sculptor. I'm a decent sculptor. I don't think I'm a good sculptor yet. I'm decent. And I was a bad sculptor for probably 15 years because, you know, I got the point across and then I stopped. But bad sculptors always say, well, no 2 sides of the face are equal, so it's unnatural to make it too symmetrical. Well, you're not perfect. So if you freaking try to make it symmetrical, that's the only time that you're going to get something that's close enough to nature to look realistic. And that's why a lot of sculpting is a little bit derpy. And that's because the people they have the talent, they're not spending the time. And it's time. I'm a fast sculptor, and that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of a bad sculptor, because I tend to rush through stuff. I want to see the finished project. I'm great at framing the house, but it looks like a house, but the wiring's not right. The plumbing is not right. That's my analogy for there. So I took off my wedding ring for now just because it makes marks in the clay that I don't want. I'll find a nice flat section of table to roll out a cattail. That's close enough to nature to look realistic. And that's why a lot of whoever's playing my video, go ahead and stop it, because they have the talent to not fit. Kevin, are you watching the video right now?
I'm watching you.
Okay, because somebody just played the recording, and it sounds a little weird. Again, I'm not a tech guy. I'm an artist, so I don't know what I'm doing on the Hangout. It's something that I want to get to do. And this is really just a test. We're doing it on a holiday weekend. Didn't expect a lot of folks to pop in. I got 30 people viewing right now. I think that's amazing and a little crazy. Have some barbecue for me if you're having barbecue. I'm on a diet, so hopefully there's less of me the next time that I pop in. So, Kevin, how long have you been sculpting? I think Kevin's gone. I lost him.
The only thing, no, I'm here.
Oh, okay, great.
No, the only thing that I sculpted really was that that meerkat foot that we did for Jay.
Oh yeah, that's right. You helped me on the big cat foot thing.
Yeah.
That's right.
I haven't had time to do anything else since then.
It's tough, man. It's tough to make time for art when you have a job that is somewhere else. If anybody is super young, if they are very young watching, I urge you, if you want a career in art or if you want to do haunted houses for a living, don't stop. Don't slow down. I can't tell you how many people I know who did it when they were a kid and loved it, and now they're older and they know that they don't love what they're doing for a living. They don't love it, and they're trying to get back into the haunting world, but they've gotten used to, you know, whether it's IT or it could be anything that they're doing right now, and it's hard to switch careers, you know, at any point in your life. Stick with it. I think I'm where I'm at because I started when I was 10 and I didn't stop. It was monsters and Halloween and haunted hauses, and that's what I want it to be. And I never really shifted from that. If I had a side job, it was an electrician's helper, so I could wire my own haunt that next October. It was being a plumber's helper, so I can, you know, learn that kind of stuff. Which plumber's helpers, you know, they dig ditches, which I have had to do a lot of that in the haunted house field. But haunted houses are kind of amazing because you end up doing everything. If you want a good haunted house, you have to be a good carpenter, you have to be a good electrician, because the field, it's got only that 1 month, you know, to make money. So, you know, it really can't afford to pay a carpenter, to pay a plumber, and, you know, and a framer, and, you know, all those different things. That's very tough to do on the budget of a haunted house. So you have to kind of be all those if you want to own your own attraction, or be valuable enough to an attraction for them to pay you. You know, it's a big risk. Haunted houses are haunted house owners are the biggest gamblers I know. Not because they go out and gamble, but because every year they pray it doesn't rain. Remember this that I didn't think I was going to use? I'm going to cut it a little bit wider and use it on the cat's tail in order to get it nice and round. Because, there you go. You see all these lumps and stuff? Well, I can just use this. It'll help me smooth that out by giving me this output. We'll also make a nice even tail. Now, this corner here is butting up against the body. As I run along, it's going to touch and scar up the body. So I'm going to cut that corner of this off so that that's not a problem. Now I can really run this along this tail and get a decent output. But you can see that's a lot smoother than it was before. And my screen has just gone dark. I do not know why. But hey, I fixed it. It looks like it's just me now online. Going in with this and fixing this tail. Remember, I want this tail to be able to kerflip and stuff. So that's why I'm putting a little bit of extra effort into making it real separate from the body, so that this tail can just go flop flop, flop flop, flop flop, as it's kind of annoyed at people. Maybe I can make the eye, open as they walk by, like it's mad that they're going to wake him up and go into the haunted house. So I'm kind of watching my time. It's 8:40, and I think that my last hour really is going to be on this head. Maybe the last 45 minutes, but definitely the last hour is going to be spent on this head. In order to do that, I have to kind of truck along on the body. And I did just say, don't necessarily rush yourself. Take the time, do it right. I'm going to do it in 2 hours. Okay. So I'm hoping that everybody who is watching actually is a subscriber to my Stiltbeast channel. And I know I'm going to get a rash of, you haven't posted anything in a while. I have not posted anything in a while. But I do fully intend to get back into it. I fully intend to post a lot of videos. I actually bought everything I need to do another video here, I think last week. So I'll be getting that together. I've also been kind of getting to know my GoPro a little bit, because that's the camera that I want to use. All right. I'm going to step away for just 1 minute, and I will be right back. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. I know people are asking questions. I can't see anything. All right, I am back. I'm not going to limit myself to one reference. So as soon as I start focusing on the head of this cat, that is when I'll pull up some cat head photos, because the skull structure of the cat won't change no matter how he's laying. Once I know that it's positioned this way while he's asleep, I can pick it up and make it look however I want. I'm moving some of my tools off to the side here so I can spin this board around and work on other angles of the cat. So webcams do not zoom in. So I'm fighting a little bit, but I want to show you stuff. All right. Here's a hacksaw blade like I was talking about, and this is just really rough and bumpy. So I'm running it in both directions. And by looking now, I can see where my high spots and my low spots are. If I just run my finger across this, it's just going to stay in the lows and the highs and not change much. But if I run this tool across, this area right here, it didn't get any of those lines, so I know it's not even. That's an unnatural bumpy and lumpy that I'm going to work out of there by running this hacksaw blade. Hacksaw blade's fine. This is like, it's a little bit harsher of a tool. If it's a wood blade, it's a wood cutting blade for a jigsaw. It's a word I couldn't remember before, jigsaw. So because it's a harsh blade, I'm getting much harsher lines than normal. But again, I'm kind of working fast. I'm kind of working, you know, a little furious and frantic here. Doesn't seem that way. But to get a sculpt this big done in a couple hours, actually, you have to be at a real fast pace. And, you know, you might think that I'm trying to put fur in this cat right now. That's not the case. I'm not trying to do that at all. All I'm trying to do is show me the high spots and the low spots so I can work them out. Because I'm going to add here to this later. I'm going to do something called fur transfer on it, which will let me put fun fur on this latex cat body. Because I'm going to make this into one of those breathing cats. It's going to be a black witch's cat. It's going to be a breathing cat. The tail's going to flip. So I want to do a fur transfer. So as this latex moves up and down a little bit with breathing, I'm going to probably do that with a little reindeer motor. You'll be able to see that move. And, you know, if you add fun fur over top of latex, it's a lot to move around. I am getting this smoother. I'm kind of liking where it's going. I'm going to get myself a 1-inch chip brush. I've got them right over there. And then I'm going to wet this guy down and brush him out. And that'll also give me a nice, smoother texture. Grabbing some water, I'll be right back. Go to Facebook, go to my Facebook or whatever, and look for any questions posted there. Okay, have a thing of water. And this reacts really well to water because it's water-based clay. Now I'm brushing away those hacksaw marks, and those hacksaw marks help me smooth out. This water is actually making a slurry, and that slurry is also going to fill in little gaps and cracks to make this piece smoother. And you know, any skin blemish you see pretty quick. It jumps out, leaps out to your eye. So you really want this pretty smooth. Any scars or whatever I put in, I want to make sure I put them in on purpose, and they're not just there from lazy sculpting. Which I have been a lazy sculptor. I'm getting out of that habit now. I'm still not great. I don't put in the time I need to on a lot of stuff and on a lot of levels. But getting clay. If you guys want to get started in sculpting, look for ceramic supply shops. Remember before, I was just working on getting that silhouette right. So this is just a real ugly area. That's my block of clay we're going to do those wadding stuff. And I worked on the front. I'm going to go back in now and fill in the elbow of this cat and work on some of that stuff. I probably should not have been smoothing the front until I got that done. But because, again, you want to bring it into focus slowly, and everything should be coming into focus at the same time, which is that's kind of the rule I was breaking. My wife is joining me in the room.
Okay.
Hello, wife.
No. Okay.
Folks
can see you. Folks can see you. I am on the Google Plus event. Everyone making comments.
Oh, great. We found some comments.
They love your shirt.
They love my shirt.
They can see you okay. Dan Breakfast can see you.
Oh, Dan.
The most important tool is imagination, said Goth Weaver.
I would say imagination and Google image search are both very important tools.
And Goth Weaver also said, why not just mold your sleeping cat?
Because I would kill the cat. I like my cats. I did mold a dead rat once, which was super gross. The first thing you had to do with the dead rat was work Vaseline with all of its fur and stuff, so that the silicone didn't stick. And we had a dead rat mold. And then the owner who I was working for at the time, it made him gag every time he thought about it. It was his pet rat. So we had to hide the mold, and I couldn't run it, and he was going to be in the shop for the next couple of days.
Triangle Haunter said that he is watching with his 5-month-old son.
Oh, get him started young. That's always good.
Steve Zalman is here.
Hey.
Rhonda Adams, Joey Tipman, Tanya, I can't pronounce her last name. Tell people to comment here on the Google Plus where they're commenting. It's where they're commenting.
All right, so the folks who are commenting on the Google Plus event page.
Right.
So that's what's happening, and that's why some people's now I can see comments, and you know it's like there are people in the room, and I'm not babbling to myself, which is better. I am babbling to myself. You guys can just hear me. All right, and I'm using this pointed tool again to put a little curve in there. Going in between some of them. And I need some stuff in here to support this big clay head that a cat would not need. A cat would not need. They wouldn't have, there'd just be a giant goiter or something on the cat. But I need to have this clay in here in order to support this big old clay head. I have to kind of play architect while I'm sculpting in order to make sure it doesn't fall down on itself. I'm sure that a lot of the folks here watch the TV show Making Monsters and have the drum on the show and see what their big sculptures fell over. They're not idiots. It's hard. You know, it's really tough to predict how these masses, you know, and how these forces are going to react. You know, you think you have a good structure under it. I'm just doing a lump of clay. What's going to happen to me is this ear is going to fall off. That's, you know, my odds are good of that ear falling off if I let it dry out, if I let it, you know, if I had it not supported. When you're a werewolf, you really have to worry about the snout just falling off the front of it. because the clay structure itself isn't that strong. Funny sculpting story. I was sculpting Stillwalker costumes for for Disney for Star Tours weekends, and they were tauntauns that it looked like a rider was on a tauntaun. And I'm sculpting the tauntaun head in my kitchen at the time of my apartment in Orlando. And in my apartment, it was in my kitchen, I was on the second floor. I come home one day, and I am convinced that someone stole my sculpt. It's gone. The wooden stand that I built for it was gone, and the sculpt itself was gone. 300 pounds of clay. A tauntaun head is huge. This box right here is 50 pounds of clay. So a tauntaun head, it was 350 pounds of clay on this stand. What happened was the wooden stand that I built broke. It fell out of the kitchen window, pushed the blinds out, and landed on the porch of the person under me, smashing their patio chair. And then the blinds came right back in the window. So I was in there about to call the police because someone stole the sculpture I'm working on for Disney and Lucasfilm. You know, huge deal to me. And I had, I'd probably spent 3 days on it at that point. But yeah, it fell. My armature broke. No one stole it.
Question.
Yes.
Andrea Saunders says that she might have missed it when she was trying to download, but what is he spraying on the clay? Is it just water?
What I'm spraying on the clay is just water. You can always mix water and a little bit of glycerin. That would be fine to do in order to keep the water a little moister longer. You can do that, but I normally just use water. It's very hot in here, and it's not going to dry on me anytime soon. So that. You can kind of see the hint of the elbow that I put in there. This is kind of a fat kitty because I'm not going to worry too much about under here. I am going to use my tool for 3D-ifying stuff.
Question from Ryan Rose. Are you going to do a tutorial on how to make it look like a cat is breathing?
You know what? That would be an excellent thing for me to do a YouTube Wednesday on. Yes, I will do a tutorial on that once the sculpt is molded and I've got a latex mold. Yes, you will see a YouTube Wednesday on making the cat look like it's breathing. But it's really super simple, and you might be disappointed because how simple it is. I'm going to try and get the tail movement and the breathing in the same motor action, but offset. So he'll be up on a table or a bookshelf or something, and a motor will be doing basically a flying crank ghost mechanism. And the tail will be a mini tentacle from the tentacle video. And the breathing, I'll just have a little plate attached that goes up and down as a motor and the wheel turns that crank. I do. I have 3 cats in the house, so my reference material is rich.
Still trying to get on your YouTube page. I don't know the weirdest thing. I don't see any comments.
It is odd. Maybe, I don't know if comments won't show up until the video technically posts when the thing is over.
No, they can see them.
I don't know how it works, but
I'm still trying.
if I knew how that worked, I might be in a different field. I'm looking up over here, and I think that he should have some shoulder blades here. Now, none of my reference material has that, but that's part of me as an artist making it a little bit more dramatic, so I'm going to give him that goal. And I know I've seen it on cats in other positions. I don't think it'll be unnatural here, so that's a nice gully shaping tool right there. I'm just going to kind of dig in so I can get those shoulder blades to where I want them. Because you kind of want that mangy, pointy look to this cat. I don't want him to be. I'm sure there's someone who sculpts cats that are very cutesy. What's those porcelain figurine gittles?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't want to look like a gittle cat. You know, I want this to be a meaner street cat. Most of that's going to come from the face. It's hard to make a mean-looking waist, a mean-looking body. It's hard to make that happen, but I can just do a little bit of stuff in order to make him. If he looks a little hungry, he'll look a little meaner. You know, hungry animals are not what you want around.
Bobby Atkinson is on. Hooray. He says he wants to see how you skin a cat.
He does. Well, Bobby, there is more than one way to skin a cat, I hear. And I assume all of those ways are against the Google Terms of Service, which I have to sign to host a hangout. So you will not be seeing that on my channel. And I kind of like cats. I like cats and dogs. I'm an animal guy. My friend John Adams has strong feelings about chickens. He does not like them. But other than that, I have a pretty tolerant crew. And right now it looks to you guys like I'm sculpting a big hunk of meatloaf because all you're seeing is the back of it. But there's a cat on the other side of this, a sleeping kitty.
Bobby wants to know how you're going to fur this cat.
I'm going to use a technique called fur transfers. And again, I can show that on a YouTube video. It's kind of a complicated process. But basically I'm taking fun fur, I'm covering the fun fur furry side with masking tape. And I'm making it stick to the masking tape. And then I'm shaving off the fur backing. Then, when it's all flipped over, I'm going to put a spray adhesive glue onto the furry side, and I'm going to glue that down. And the fumes from the spray adhesive will release the tape. And when that releases the tape, I can pull it up, and the fur is then on the cat. That way I can change the direction, because like even the hair on people, their fur goes this way on here. But as soon as you get up onto the shoulder, it goes this way. And that's so it doesn't go backwards as they walk through stuff, you know, it all goes with them. So those directions are very important. And that's another thing that makes stuff look natural. The first Yeti costume that I made, I had a seam right down the center of the chest, and the fur on one side went up, and the fur on the other side went down. And it was pretty obvious if you looked at it. But luckily I was working hard to be as scary as possible so that no one noticed my weird furry chest.
Brian Pelton said that one of his cats perked up at the skin a cat comment, and he thinks she didn't like that statement.
I don't blame her.
Andrea Saunders says, I saw a furry tail in the background a minute ago. I think that was a dog.
That was probably my dog, Spitz, or Wendy.
And Bruce Janzer just said the fur transfers. It's the same process you did on the big dog head. Oh, the green dog?
No, the big green dog, I actually just did I just laid, that's called laying hair, where I, spray adhesive, cut, laid it in there. I want to try to do that in one big sheet, It should be actually a slower process, but it'll give a better look. Because with laying on the hair, you have to worry about your edge. You're going to put down hair, put down more hair when you're laying, put down more hair, put down more hair. I did it on the big, on the RUS video also. Put down hair, and it looks great, except for this last edge. You're always going to have this leading edge, and that's going to be what's near your face. So often I'll lay that last edge facing in and just glue that down, so it's kind of a more gradual way to go.
Tanya Gaborielt, sorry if I said that wrong, said, have you ever tried flocking?
Yes, I have tried flocking. I like flocking. Unfortunately, flocked stuff looks flocked, and it's always going to look flocked. So it's kind of easy to read as flocking. It's great if I were doing the real short hairs on the face, that would be good for flocking. I do not anymore have access to an electrostatic flocking gun, so I would just be doing the standard flocking technique. The electrostatic is I put a negative charge on the cat, a positive charge on the flock, and then I spray adhesive onto it, and then when I put the flock onto it, which is little tiny hairs, they all stand up. And if you're really good, you can take your flocking gun and shoot the flock on there and then move the gun so that the hairs lay the way you want. Just a little bit. And Flocking is a great technique. There's one stuff that doesn't quite look flocked. For all the guys who are about my age, not Battle Cat, but Panther was flocked. Panther was that purple cat that Skeletor rode from He-Man, Masters of the Universe. That cat was flocked. Mossman, the toy that everybody lost in their lawn because he looked like their lawn, he was flocked. So that's what that is. The inside of a lot of jewelry boxes are flocked. It's a very distinctive look. I'm going to pull up here. I'm kind of right on track. It's 9 o'clock now. I'm an hour into this, and I'm focusing on the head. I am going to paint here on... I'm saying that I'm painting. I'm not actually painting. What I'm doing is I'm taking water, and I'm knocking down the sharp corners that are on these kitty paws so that they look a little more natural.
I don't have anything on. It's coming out of yours.
I think that's coming out of Kevin's.
You all right, Kevin? Okay.
All right. So. I don't know who I hear.
Bruce James says he still has those toys.
Oh yeah, I love my He-Man toys. They're pretty awesome. Hopefully to you guys, it looks like a sleeping kitty. Now I think you guys will be able to see a bit of that shoulder blade detail I did up on the top to give him some function. Cat needs some right proper horses. I have some people popping in and dropping out. That's fine. I'm going to use my popsicle stick end here and try and figure out where the sleeping kitty's eyes are. I'm looking at my picture. And I got to fix the shape of the nose and whatnot. I'm not super happy with that. But just to give me a point of reference, I'm going to put in 2 quick eyes. You guys can kind of see those now. Eventually I will get a webcam that I can hold in my hand and pick up and then move around the piece. I don't have that yet, so you're kind of suffering through some primitive technology as I do this. Please ask questions. Please, right now Shannon is monitoring the event page, I think it is.
Bobby says, thanks. The skin the cat question refers to the adding covering to this cat. Does the fun fur transfer also work to cover the breathing latex portion of the body as well?
Yeah, so that's all going to be one piece. The latex is going to be pliable. What I'm going to do is I'm going to foam in everything except that piece that I want to move. So everything's going to be foamed in, but I'll tear the foam away from that part. And then a plate will kind of glue into that the motor can pull up and push down and whatnot. So, yeah, but the hair on top isn't affected by any of that.
Andrea Saunders, is there a specific reason why you are starting with the head, or is it just where you feel like starting there?
I'm not starting at the head. I actually started on its general shape. It looked like a meatloaf for a long time. But pretty much this cat's going to look like a meatloaf for a while. And the head is windows of the eyes to the soul. You know, no one says your elbows, your eyes to the soul. So if you're going to nail one thing on the sculpt, make it the eyes, make it the nose, make it those facial features that people read. So that's what I'm working on. I'm focusing on the parts that are most important. And the face is going to be what people look at to judge if this is real or not. I'm kind of making a kitty nose here. And clay is really awesome. It is a great material and medium, and it's very easy to put on too much. So I put something on like that nose, and that nose is now, it's huge, you know. But also, I'm taking another popsicle stick. I've got plenty of round ends. That's how they come. So I'm going to cut that. I have a deep V. I'm going to cut a nice shallow V. And that shallow V is something I'm going to use to get some features in. I'm going from my eye lines that I carved in down in order to help me get this nose right. And that nose sticks out too much. I don't want to make the nose smaller. I want to fill in that gap so it doesn't stick out too much. And that basically I'm spackling. That's what's happening.
Tanya Gaboriel, are you counting the hours to the face-off judges match?
You know what? I enjoy the show Face Off. I really look forward to the judges match because I think we should see some real talent and skill happen, and you don't see that from every participant every week. I love Face Off. I love what Face Off has done for the industry. It has made every makeup artist out there fight for their job because now there's 10 times the amount of people who want to enter the field just because it's on TV all the time.
Next question. Are you going to paint the eyes on the cat to look realistic? No, how are you going to paint the eyes on the cat to look realistic? Ryan Rose.
I'm going to cheat. Number one, it's a sleeping cat.
Sleeping cat.
So his eyes are closed. Number two, I am going to have one eye be able to open and close. And in order to do that, I'm going to use an acrylic eye that I buy from... Hold on, I'm accessing my brain files. It's taxidermy. It's a taxidermy place. I'll think of it and I will say it in a bit here. But it's a taxidermy shop and they sell glass eyes. And you can actually put in cat eyes, and then they come in millimeters. So I'll put one back here, make an eyelid mechanism that opens and closes, so one eye can open. You know, like he's annoyed you're there, and then close. But I'm not going to paint eyes in it because he's sleeping. I am going to hop onto this here and put in cat face. Now I'm sculpting the face. That big body shot I was using before is not good enough. I don't want to pick a cute looking cat. I want to pick a cat that's kind of pissed off. That's what I want. That is a noble and majestic kitty right there. Make this image bigger so that I have sculpting reference. And now I'm going to work on his face and head. With a pointy tool. I do have too much, so I got to take off some of what I have on there. And a sharp wire is as good as a blade on clay. Think of a cheese cutter as a wire. Well, this kind of has a cheese-like consistency just a bit. There's almost a shield pattern that I'm seeing, and I'm looking at a picture and I'm replicating it from a picture. The fact that he's sleeping doesn't change what his nose looked like. When his eyes close, that doesn't change.
That one.
Hello?
I'm the only one.
It's me again. Hello.
Hello, Kevin.
Hello, sir. The server kicked me off.
Gotcha.
Somebody else figured it out.
That's good.
This is kind of detailed work, so it's really hard to see on a webcam. So please ask questions. I'm gonna kill whoever's playing the music. Okay, I think that killed the music. I apologize. Your music was lovely, but I'm not allowed to have people listening to music on the channel because I don't own the copyright to the music. I actually read terms and conditions. I'm that guy.
Okay. Question from Aaron Hart.
hmm
Where and how is this caption incorporated into
So this cat's going to be detailed. It's background detail to make it a richer environment. Apartments don't really seem lived in until they have like a house plant in them, because that's a living thing, and that's it's one element that's kind of missing. And one of the things I felt was missing at Dark Hour, the haunt that I'm director of, was witches' cats. They're really not represented almost anywhere. So I wanted to make a couple different sculpts of witch cats that can be on a bookshelf, sleeping, tucked away into a room somewhere, and just have these black cats that are just represented. It's such a huge witch element that I think we need a couple black cats somewhere in the show. So where are they incorporated? I think my first spot is we have a library, and if you go through the show, look for a black cat in the library. I won't say exactly where, because it's going to be like an Easter egg. It's going to be a fun thing for folks to find, you know? It's very much a detail piece.
Ryan Rose. How do you keep your clay from drying out when you are not sculpting before you mold it?
How do I keep the clay from drying out when I'm not sculpting before I mold it? I'm going to spray it down with a water bottle here, and then I'm going to cover it with either plastic or some wet paper towels, depending upon how much detail. Because wet paper towels can mush your detail because of how soft this clay can be. Just getting up for something. Oh, a light. I'm just getting up, guys, to add a light because I think parts of this are kind of dark. So I'll be back in just a second, I swear.
That was pretty good.
Oh, you got left.
9:16.
What I'm doing right now is I'm adding just those little puffs of clay that make these puffy parts of the cheek. And I have a good snap going on. I have a good snap. It comes down to a snap. It doesn't cat out like I want it to. So once again, I have a body part that's double. Ears are double, nostrils are double, eyebrows are double. So I am taking one piece of clay, splitting it in half as best as I can with my hands. And now I know that both my cheeks are going to be the same size. I have the same amount of material on each one.
Brian Rose, are all of your cats in your haunt going to be asleep?
Probably yes is my guess. I might have time next year to make some that are awake, but I know my list of projects is pretty long. So in order to make one that was awake, you have to do it subtle. It has to be subtle in some way. I'm not the kind of guy to make an animatronic cat that leaps out at you and you see the scissor mech and then it kind of comes back. You know, I don't want that. I don't need that. I don't think it's very realistic. It kind of breaks the mood in the moment. So any movement I have on a live cat is going to be subtle. It's going to be something simple. He might be up with his back arched, and just the eyes are moving back and forth. You know, kind of scanning the group and watching people. Maybe his head, maybe his tail is going to twitch just a little bit. Almost rattlesnake-like. That's a good way, I think, to do a live cat. Let the actors do the scaring. Most of the time, I feel that way. So I probably won't have one this year. I might add one, but it's going to be on the more subtle side. It will not be a jumping, angry cat animatronic. I think that hurts believability a little bit. Think about all the parrots in the jungle room or in the tiki room at Disney. That's pretty simple animations. You know, they're not doing anything crazy with them, so they can stay believable. And now I put those balls of clay on, and I'm just using a tool to smooth out the edges so that they blend into the face a little better. It is 9:21 now. I basically have 40 minutes in my mind, maybe 45 or 50, in order to get this cat to where I can feel comfortable holding it. And right now I'm using that water and clay mix down here. Every time I touch the cat, I'm getting clay on the brush. And that goes down here, so it's kind of making a slurry. And that slurry is going in those gaps and cracks and filling them in. And a lot of sculpting is making a mark and then working on it so it doesn't look like you made a mark. I now have to put in the bottom jaw, and just with the angle of the camera, the way it's attached to the computer, there's no good way to show you this. But I'm just taking this and I'm etching my lines in. Going down from the nose, I'm picking where it peels off. It's important that I go back in. When you do that, you kind of get a derpy look to the bottom lip because I've made these two, and I haven't made a straight line here. So I have this, it looks like a turtle's jaw, where it's got that point in the middle. So you have to go back in and fix that. And now I've got a hole up under my neck here. So for you guys to see this hole.
A little bit lower. There you go.
Right here. And that's a pretty deep hole. That's going to mold a little bit. It's going to work on filling that in now and smoothing that out. I don't want to make it look like the cat's got a big goiter, but I also don't want a lot of empty space.
Jason Nichols has posted on YouTube for folks to come over here to this area to post their comments so we don't miss any more comments.
Thank you, Jason Nichols.
Or to repost.
I greatly appreciate it because I am not a technological being. I am learning. But right now, I know nothing. So we're hovering right around 30 people who are watching. It kind of jumps. It's been, I think 35 has been the max. But that's a phenomenal number. Thank you guys for popping in and watching and you know, having an interest in what's going on. Hopefully, I'm not suggesting that everybody go out and make a cat, but certainly there is stuff that you might want to sculpt for your show. And I want you guys to do that. It isn't about you watching me. It's about you guys learning to do it for yourself. Once again, I want kind of a mean cat. Cats don't have the eyebrows that they need to be mean. So I'm taking one piece of clay. I am just making a little simple shape like that, and I split it in half. I'm going to make two sperms, basically, is what I'm going to make. By making a little tail. I'm slightly ambidextrous. It's a lot easier to be ambidextrous when I'm having my left hand just mimic my right. On most figures sculpting that I do, most character sculpting that I do, I sculpt my ears at the same time. One in my left hand, one in my right. Now, a cat with eyebrows can really show some emotion. You know, there's just a little bit of anger going on here with this cat. I've got a brow ridge, and this cat could also easily be sad. You know, if I move him over here.
Jim Walden says, the taxidermy company Alan was probably thinking of is Van Dyke.
Van Dyke's, yes.
Have bought a lot from them over the years and a great resource for supplies. Thank you, Jim Walden.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, Van Dyke's taxidermy, I get all my eyes from there. I have to remember a lot, and I lost them for a bit in the files of my mind. Once again, I put a piece on, and now I have to really blend it out so that it looks like it is natural. I don't want to blend it out too much down here because I want it to read. But this cat's kind of having an angry dream. Yeah.
This is from Anthony Powers. For an individual wanting to begin sculpting, what would you recommend as the essential tools, and what tools would you likely avoid as being superfluous and unnecessary? You know, newbies want to go out and buy up all the tools related and only through experience learn what tools are useful and what tools are pointless. What a great question.
One thing that you will need, I haven't used it yet, is a good wire loop tool. But it's easy to make your own. I don't think you have to buy anything. Chip brushes, that's a big deal for smoothing out. A hacksaw blade is very useful. That's a rake tool. You could buy a rake tool, or you could use a hacksaw blade. That's what I normally do. I have several good rake tools. The wire loop tool is very good for removing bits of clay, smoothing things out. It's also very nice for just doing, you know, simple gouges, you know, to get some shading and some depth, you know, to highlight muscle forms by going underneath of them. It's that's that's what the wire loop tool is good for. Popsicle sticks. If I could only sculpt with one thing, I'd want a bunch of popsicle sticks because this is a little rounded end. I just cut a little, I cut it a little bit in order for, to use that round bit like a little fingernail because my fingers are fat in order to get in there and smooth things out. This one is a kind of a sharp gouge to make a deep wrinkle. I want to smooth that wrinkle out. I cut this one, which is just a little bit different, but it makes a big difference in the clay. And, different edges, different angles. This is the one that, if there's an object sitting, like this is the edge of it, here's the end of the table, I'm going to use this sucker at the bottom to make it look 3D. And that edge is then going to look like it rolls underneath the table. So it looks like it's complete. Popsicle sticks are huge. If you want to sculpt organic things, and this is crazy, use organic tools. If I'm sculpting animals or monsters, I want to use wooden tools. If I'm trying to do the detailed, crisp, hard edges of a robot or something that I'm trying to make metal, I want to use metal tools. I don't know why it works well, but that's kind of a good formula for me. It has helped me immensely. I'm going to put in where, because I do want to mechanize these eyes down the road. I'm just kind of putting in where the eyes are. You'll never really see a cat's eyelids because of how well they're attached. But I'm just kind of rolling this along. And then I'm going to use this sucker right here to give it a bit of depth. But that's too sharp. I want to make another one that's a little smoother. I just want to give a little bit of depth. And I'm doing that by cutting in. So the depth is coming. This would be like the bulge of the eye. What shape are cat eyes? Cat eyes are round. Cat pupils are slit shaped. All right, and that looks a little weird right now. It's almost like the puppy from Spot. He's got the spot on his eye. Little rascals. Because you got that spot around the eye. But by the time I knock that down, I'm going to use this fake finger here and just knock these down on this edge to make it a little more subtle. But now I've got a definite line where I need to add stuff in order to make my moving eye later. I have a very little brush that I didn't show you guys before, or I think I did, but I'm doing the same thing that is the big brush. This is a little area. I want a little brush.
Flopper Matt says, is YouTube Wednesday coming back?
Yes, YouTube Wednesday is coming back. I've already promised to show the mechanizing on a YouTube Wednesday video this cat. I will show that. I am also going to have another one coming up. I'm going to build some stuff for my haunt, for my little show that I own. I need to build some little stuff, some prop things, so I might as well show that. Once again, I'm going to go a touch cartoony with this cat. So I'm actually putting in like some bobcat cuts, on the cheeks here. And I'm just, I don't know that you can see it. I added little pinches of clay right here. Right here. I'm adding that in so that he looks a little bit more bobcat, a little meaner. I want him a little bit meaner. This is not a nice kitty. This cat is the cat of a witch.
From Aaron Hart, popsicle sticks are also great because they come with yummy frozen flavored water on them. Great excuse to buy some popsicles. No, really, I need them so I can sculpt.
Yes, always. I love these popsicle treats. And actually, you know what? I'm kind of lying to you. I keep saying popsicle sticks. These are really tongue depressors. They're wider than popsicle sticks, so I can get more options out of them. Doesn't mean you can't buy popsicle sticks. I use those too. They're actually stronger than tongue depressors. So they certainly have their use. I'm just adding these pieces. And it kind of looks like a dupe right now. It's just like those gilly things. But I'm going to use the water to calm this down. Shoot with a question, wife.
Mary Fettner.
Mary Fettner. Hi, Mary.
For those of us that could not be here for the beginning of the show, what type of clay are you using?
I am using water-based clay. If you see me sculpting, unless it's something super tiny, it's probably going to be water-based clay. Because it's so fast to work with, it's easy to work with, and like me, it's cheap.
Kelly Dodson, the brows are fierce.
Yes, I do. I did love fierce brows. I want this to be a mean cat. And I have to kind of make up a little bit of anatomy to make a cat look mean. Cats aren't mean, they're nice.
Jim Holden, haha, I've been outed. Didn't realize my comment was posted as Jim and not J-Wall.
J-Wall, busted.
J-Bo, bomb pops are the best toys.
Bomb pops. Are those the ones that are 3 different colors, looking like a rocket or an adult toy?
Okay. Kelly Hartley. Has anyone already asked why and when you use water dated and not
Water-based.
Water-based and or oil clay for your sculpts?
In the early ramblings, before I was actually being able to hear questions, I said oil-based won't dry out. The thinner this water-based is, the faster it dries out. Like my ear tips, they're getting kind of hard right now, and I don't make them tippy. Or if I were doing teeth, I don't do teeth until the very end because those points are going to harden, and I don't want that. So you know, this big blob isn't going to harden anytime soon. It's holding a lot of water in it, but the tips and the short stuff will. Sometimes I'll do a whole sculpt in water-based clay and then sculpt the teeth in oil-based clay, so I can get it right. It's a little firmer. It's a harder clay. It holds sharper detail, but this holds enough detail. And if I have a lot of time to work on something, I might use oil-based. I also use water-based. I make a lot of plaster molds. With a plaster mold, I can take a power washer and clean this water-based clay out. It's cheap enough. I don't need to reuse it. It is basically 25 cents a pound. So, you know, you're talking, it's about $25 for a 50-pound bag. So it's 50 cents a pound. Information. And you use about 50 pounds for a mask. I maybe have 25 pounds here, and you know the rest of that other piece is here. This is probably 2 bags of clay worth, roughly. So this is roughly a box. But it's going to be, even an oil-based sculpt is destroyed once you mold it. So, and oil-based is harder to get out of the mold. I hate cleaning a mold. I love monster clay. It's a great clay to use. It works well. It holds good detail. It's very organic shapes. But, oh, it's a nightmare to get out of the mold. I know you can use solvents, but I like to live and stuff, and the solvents go into your skin. If you cannot do that, it's best.
J-Bo also recommends a bunch of banana.
It is important to have good popsicles. I'm kind of making the other side match this side. I did not do those bobcat fur tufty things the same way I do most dual pieces on body parts. So use oil-based if you're doing a small sculpture because it's going to dry out fast and water-based. If you're doing a prosthetic, you should probably use oil-based because prosthetics have very thin edges. I do mine in water-based clay, but again, I'm very fast. And if you are just starting, you will not be as fast as me. Not that I think I'm better than you, but I have been doing this a while. So that is when you should use oil-based as opposed to water-based. If you're doing something huge, cost tells you to use water-based. When they sculpt the Predator, when they sculpt the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, they use water-based because that's a lot of clay, that's a lot of money. I'm popping in and redefining the line between that front paw and the back paw. And I'm doing a big gouge with this first for depth. Can you see that right there? Yeah. Okay. I'm doing a big gouge real quick with this tool, which is, obstacle stick. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to soften that up. So I'm using this one, which is wider, so it will soften those edges for me. And it looks less like a big gash and more like a fold. Especially once I use a brush. And hold it right hand. By now I have a delineation of kind of the elbow of that front paw.
Anthony Powers. If you were to make a mold out of sculpt using water-based clay, what medium would you prefer to make the mold? Plaster, silicone, etc. And as a side note, would the mold material differ if you were using oil-based?
The question is, what should I mold this out of? If mold material won't really differ based on clay type. Almost any mold material will mold any clay except a clay with sulfur in it you cannot mold with silicone because it will keep the silicone from setting, which will then ruin the mold and the sculpt. So I will mold this in plaster, not because of what I sculpted it out of, because of what I want my finished product to be. If I want to mold a solid thing, if I want this to be a hard piece, and I make a mold, it's all one piece, and I want to make a mold of this, well, this is a solid thing. It's hard. It doesn't bend or flex. So I want to make a flexible mold so that I can remove the mold from this without breaking off any small little pieces. If I want to mold a flexible thing, if I want a finished piece that is flexible, then I'm going to use a hard mold so that when I pull that finished piece out, it can flex and come out of that hard mold. If you have a hard thing molded with a hard, if you want a hard end product and you mold it with a hard material, they will come apart. You're going to have something called undercuts. Imagine a ball, and that ball can only go, this ball can only go halfway into plaster. If it's not perfectly halfway, if it's a little bit less, then what you have is you have plaster biting into these corners right here. So you have plaster there then that won't let this piece pull out. This piece will pull out just fine, but this top piece is stuck in that mold forever. Or you have to break off these corners, ruining your mold. So that's why you hear about mold locks and the head won't come out of the mold a lot on face-off. They have that hard head form in there and not enough clay to let that mold pull off. So I want a latex cat at the end so it can breathe and move. I'm going to do a plaster mold. Rigid material, flexible piece. Rigid mold, flexible end product. That's what I want. I could also, in that same plaster mold, do a silicone skin. I cannot do a latex skin and then do a silicone skin because the latex is going to stop the silicone from curing. But I could do a silicone pull out of the plaster mold and then do a latex pull. Once you go latex, you cannot go back.
Ryan Rose. I know this is a bit off topic, but what would you use for teeth on a mask? Currently, he's sculpting a dead-skinned fish man mask.
Have I got the product for you? Hang on. He asked about teeth. I'm a guy who cuts corners, and I'm fast, and I don't spend a lot of time on stuff. This is all mask parts, all these little drawers, different things for masks. In this drawer, it's all eyes. This is all eyes. That's all that's in here. Even different kinds of eyes. But that's what's in that drawer. In this drawer is an awesome product called pumpkin teeth. You're doing a fish man. These are perfect. That's kind of stained, but they're meant to stick into your pumpkin to give your pumpkin fangs. But what you can do with these is they're tapered, and they're tapered perfectly so that even if I mold this in plaster, as long as this piece back here is in the clay, right here, it'll pull right out of the mold. So lots of my sculpts have pumpkin teeth. They come in different sizes. Like that's a big one. That's a big one. I think all I have here are big ones. But they have mediums and smalls. I just ordered a case offline. I think it's buypumpkinteeth.com. BUYpumpkinteeth.com. And they come in bags. They're awesome for all kinds of craft projects. I put them in gloves for claws. My updated Krampus has some big old claws like this. But pumpkin teeth, that's what I use. You could sculpt your own, or you can cheat a little bit. And I've reused the same pumpkin teeth in sculpts over and over again.
Okay. Brad, good speed. He wants to know if you're accepting non-sculpting questions. Brad?
I will certainly accept non-sculpting questions, Brad. Hey, that means someone's watching in Canada. I'm now international.
I have to transfer a simple design to plexiglass for a backlit window / sign in my haunt. I was thinking of printing it and then tracing on the plexi with a Sharpie. But is there a way to get a print directly onto plexi that you can think of?
Actually, lots of printers will do a direct-to-substrate printing. It's a little bit expensive, but you certainly can do that. If it's only one piece and it's in a haunt, if it's not like a real 3D lifelike graphic, I would probably just copy it myself on the plexiglass. That's probably what I would do. But look for a company that does substrate printing. That means they'll print right on plastic. Could be clear plastic, could be anything. Any sign company is going to do that, because that's how a lot of those backlit signs are done.
Mary Fittner. Has Alan ever used epoxy sculpt that Brad Goodspeed made famous?
I love that stuff.
Yes. I use epoxy sculpt all the time. I also use Model Magic. Epoxy sculpt is great if you want to make one of a hard plastic piece. And it's really good stuff. It's very strong, it's very durable, and it's got a nice working time on it.
Aaron Hart. I would love for you, Alan, maybe to do just a question and answer session like this. Just a thought. We could cover off-topic questions like, do you ever use Instamorph?
What's Instamorph? Ask that question now. No, I don't even know what Instamorph is.
But would you consider a question and answer session like this?
I would consider a question and answer session. I would not mind doing that.
As long as you can be making something at the same time.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be working on something while it's happening. Yes.
Andrea Saunders. I am currently making an angry brow for an actor. I'm using monster clay. I'm having trouble getting some areas as smooth as I like. Any suggestions?
Lighter fluid. On Monster Clay, it's an oil-based clay, and if you use lighter fluid, which is mostly naphtha, it's going to help you get those edges a lot smoother than alone. But again, also make sure you use the trick of, now if you mean edges smooth as far as a prosthetic, but if you mean forms smooth, then use the hacksaw blade trick, going crisscross with a hacksaw blade on it, and then smooth it out from there, and that'll help knock down a lot of those high spots. But if you mean edges, lighter fluid, that's the best way to go, or naphtha. But lighter fluid is cheap naphtha. If you can't buy naphtha because you're in Canada, Brad, then just buy lighter fluid because Canadian Tire sells that, and that is naphtha.
There's a lot of links being posted for questions and helping each other out, so that is very nice.
That is awesome. It's awesome that people are posting links. My wife is kind of talking to me, and I'm pretending that you guys can hear her, and you can't. I'm not insane. My wife is on the other side of the computer. And these ears have gotten a little bit harder, so I'm kind of scrape forming them. Pinch forming won't do as much anymore. But I want the look of, you know, this cat has seen some crap, you know. I want him to be kind of a fighter because I like to fight stuff. So why shouldn't a cat that I sculpt?
Mark Ray says that Instamorph is moldable plastic.
Is it the same as friendly plastic? Does it get hot? Do you have to heat it up? If it's friendly plastic, I have used that, and that was what people used for fangs for a long time.
Ryan Rose, when making paper mache masks, what kind of glue do you use, or do you have your own mache mixture?
I do have a mache mixture. What kind of glue do I use? If it's a mask for decoration, I don't mind using Elmer's. But Elmer's breaks down in water. So I don't like using Elmer's if it's going to go on an actor, because an actor in a show will sweat enough to destroy it. Something that you can use that is like a paper mache, and this is going to be weird, but polyurethane. Just take polyurethane, dip your paper in polyurethane, paint it on the same way. That's kind of a poor man's fiberglass. But that polyurethane is going to dry and turn into plastic, and then you have a plastic and paper mix that won't break down like the glue will. I always line any mask I make with a felt or something, so that material isn't directly on the actor's skin. Because polyurethane, it's not FDA approved, it's not meant to be on the skin, could make someone break out. But if you put a layer of felt there first, then that's going to protect their skin.
Aaron Hart says Instamorph, a moldable plastic, comes in little pellets, heats to 150 degrees Fahrenheit, and it turns into a clear blob. Sculpt or foam it, and once it cools to room temp, it is a hard plastic.
Okay, so it's kind of like friendly plastic. Probably good stuff, but if I want something out of plastic that I sculpt, I will probably use epoxy sculpt as opposed, because there's no heat factor. Anytime you're using something like gelatin or moulage or anything that you have to heat up and then put on skin or heat up and touch to sculpt, there's a danger of burning yourself. And if there's a way to burn yourself, I will find it, and I will burn the heck out of myself. That's why I have no feeling in my fingers anymore. I got mitts. So I would use epoxy sculpt, which is something that I can just use my hands with. It takes an hour before it hardens up, whereas the other stuff is temperature-based. I'd rather go with something that gives me more working time. It's like you have a lot of questions, wife.
They have questions.
They have questions.
Bobby Atkinson. Alan might want to know about clear cling film as a way to get designs onto plexiglass or glass. Suggest telling him about it after the live event.
Why don't you tell Brad Goodspeed about it, or Godspeed? I think I say Godspeed and it's Goodspeed, but tell Brad about it. because I'd love to know too. Just make a general post. And if I see you post it, Bobby, then I will, on Facebook, then what I will do is I will send it to Brad.
Aaron Hart said that Instamorph is the same thing as friendly plastic.
Yeah, good stuff.
And they can hear me.
Oh, okay. I'm repeating what she says, thinking that, you know, like at the convention, she's on the microphone, so I'm repeating it so you guys can hear it. But just insane.
So I've got to watch my language.
You do. No more foul tongue, wife.
Okay.
So while we've been chatting, I've been kind of making a kitty. Can you guys see my kitty? That's a kitty. He looks a little mean. I'm going to give him a little fang. I'm actually not going to sculpt the fang in there, because then if I do two, they both have that one fang sticking out in the same spot. So I want to be able to add that little bit of fang in later in order to individualize each of these repeats of this form. I am going to put a nick in his ear, because I think it's important for fighter cats to have a nick in their ear. You will only see that nick if you are under him, because above him you will not see it. He has been in the scrap. This cat is ruler of the hood. I'm at 9:55. I should be wrapping this guy up, and I feel that I am actually pretty darn close.
Brad said it's good at speed.
Good speed, yes. And what I'm doing right now is I'm going back on and I'm looking at the cat body, because I'm fairly happy with his head, knowing that fur and paint is going to fill in a lot of my details. I do need to smooth out some stuff. He's got some weird bumps and lumps, but I'm going back to my reference material. I don't think any artist is good enough to stop using reference material. So I always use reference material. I'm looking at my lines. I'm looking at this cat's curve, how it curves this way. And I'm looking at mine and how mine curves. I think I'm close, but I think I can actually flatten out this a little bit. Because I don't want it to appear chubby. You know, I think I see a flatter flank over here. That also helps. This is a nice triangle, it's a nice wedge, and I don't have that wedge. I have more of a drumstick. So I need to either add some material in here or just flatten this out a bit. And a lot of times you break bodies down, like in classic drawing, they do an egg for the head, you know, the triangle for the torso for the guy. Well, it's the same in sculpting. You do all these flat planes. So really, it's all these flat planes that I'm scraping flat, and then I'm smoothing them out and blending them together.
Jackie Matlock is pleased with this kitty. She says this kitty is lovely. She likes this kitty.
Very good.
Brad Goodstein says, I want to sculpt a full-sized Alan Hops fighting a giant heat gun. Any tips on that?
Do a head cast, because faces are hard. And the heat gun, if you're only going to make one, if you're going to make these statues and sell them, in that case, I would sculpt and mold the heat gun. If you're only making one Alan Hop statue fighting the heat gun, then what you would want to do is just fabricate the giant heat gun. I think like a couple garbage cans, you know, like this could be the nozzle of the heat gun, depending on how big the ammo hops is. Life size is pretty big. This could be like the nozzle if it were a garbage can, and then you could fabricate the rest, like maybe like one of those dome grills for the back of the heat gun, like the lid. But I digress.
You took that very seriously.
I did take it very seriously. What if he's asking a serious question?
Ryan Rose, when adding on parts to a latex mask, like horns, or in my case, for my fish man,
Rubber cement.
a light like an anglerfish, how do you attach it so it doesn't fall over?
I would use like floral wire going up through, and then you can paint that in latex. You do an LED in there. You could do it on a simple 9-volt pack that goes on the back of the head. And
I love the idea of an anglerfish.
yeah, anglerfish monsters or anglerfish are scary. They're
awesome.
They're super creepy things.
Okay. You ready for another?
Yeah.
Jay Wall. He wants to add to Alan's response to Brad's question. See if you have anyone that does laser etching. There are a few crafters around here that go from show to show selling glassware and plexi custom etched. This is the best way to get the effect you're looking for. Another method is to mask off the negative area and sandblast the image with Harbor Freight sells a very basic detailed sandblaster. Okay. Chris Mazzina, random, but I love the 6 stuff you guys make and hope to learn how to make some more.
Hooray.
Kelly Dotson, how tricky will it be to do the fur on the face?
The fur on the face is going to be pretty tricky, and I'll probably accomplish a lot of that with paint, and then creep the fur in like right here and start the fur going out on these chops, and then just do some highlight painting on the face in order to get it, because you don't want long hairs on the face. I know I said I might not, but it's a really good idea. I might flock it later. I might flock just the face, because that's a real good way to do those short hairs. I'm working on the base of the tail. That line looks a little bit wrong to me, so I'm making sure that I have this right. All I have to have on this is good forms, because I'm going to cover this whole thing in fur. The texture isn't that important, but what is important is that the forms are right. You know, I can't do the hair in such a way where it fixes the skeleton. The skeleton is going to be what the skeleton is.
Ready for the next
Mm-hmm.
one? Anthony Powers. Is there a way to start a sculpt, stop down a while, and temporarily store the clay sculpt without it drying, then return to it?
This is a little bit harder to do that with when you're using water-based clay. Water-based clay will dry out. So if you cover it in a plastic bag, push the plastic bag down as tight as you dare, and give it a spritz of water, you know, before you cover it each time, and then cover it in plastic, and spritz it once a day. It'll hold up for a long time. I've had clay sculpts last for months. I've also had them where I forgot to spray it for 2 days, and it was a cracked mess by the time I got back to it. So you really have to just be dedicated to at least babysitting. But if you're the kind of guy who you're a hobbyist, you don't have a deadline for it, and you want it perfect, use oil-based clay. And that way you can take as long as you want in order to finish that sculpt. I'm not giving the kitty a comb over. What I'm doing is I'm using this tool in order to knock down some of those high spots with the hacksaw blade, and then when I smooth it back out, it is just much smoother than it was before, and the lines are better.
Ready for another?
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Rose. How do you paint latex without the paint cracking and or flaking off?
Many, many years ago, Ed Edmonds taught me this. I did a shop tour with him in 2000. His mix for mask paint is latex house paint, latex, and distilled water. Play with the amounts to get the consistency that you want. All latex paint is going to dry a little bit darker than the color you think it is. That's why red paint looks pink. But it's latex, water, and latex house paint. The latex helps make it stretchier. Latex house paint is already formulated to stretch a bit with your house because the houses are mostly made of wood and they expand and contract with the seasons. So I hope that helped. I'm not going to give exact ratios, mix it up. I am at 10 o'clock. I am officially supposed to be done. And by golly, I am close. I probably will be 10 more minutes or so, and I'm just going to be spinning it, looking for clods of crud, cleaning up the clods of crud. I will go ahead and stay on, but if folks drop off, I certainly understand.
You have 52 viewers.
I might see I have 32. And I'm looking for stuff that isn't right now. Now I'm nitpicking. I don't like the curve of this forearm, I think, with this back leg that goes up here along the body. So I'm taking my tool to 3D-ify it, and I am making it a little more 3D. Yeah, I'm making it look like it really tucks under, and it really goes under there. Looking at my head from another angle, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Just adding touches of clay to beef this guy up. So you guys might know, if you watch YouTube Wednesday, my table is normally very filthy. I take a tile board, it's $10 a sheet, and I put it down on top of my table, and I just silicone caulk it down, and I peel it up when it's filthy, and I put down a new one. It's kind of like changing the sheets on a bed, makes the whole room look clean. That changing my tabletop really helps for me. I just have some general ugly in the back here that I'm fixing up. It's nothing major, not too worried about, because this isn't an angle I want it viewed from. But if I'm going to put it in a basket, you never know what angle they're going to view it from. I can't control my audience. If you're going to make something in 3D, make it look good in 3D.
Brad says he has a band, and the band's name is Clods of Crud.
Clods of Crud. Nice. What does Brad play in the band? I would love to know that. He looks like a bass player.
Aaron Hart is about to sign off, says thanks. He's requesting the Q&A version again and maybe a live tour of your workshop.
Sure, I could do a tour of the workshop. It's kind of about to change because I'm kind of focusing on sculpting. Because I'm a director at a show now, I don't have time to do everything that I used to do. And I used to do a ridiculous amount of stuff, leatherwork, sewing. And I got permission to shoot Stiltbeast Studios videos, YouTube Wednesdays, at dark hour. And I have a huge shop there. So I'm going to kind of transfer this one. Before I do, I can do a tour and show you guys what I do and how I have it set up.
Ryan Rose wants to know if you will do more live streams like this.
I plan on doing the live streams weekly. I'm going to figure out a good day to do them. And when I figure out that good day to do the live stream, it'll be every week I'm sculpting something.
Excuse me. David Crossland, Are you going to video the process all the way to the finished product?
Probably not. What I'm probably going to do is I will make this, I'll mold it. My mold for this is going to be the same as, it's a one-piece mold. It's one plaster shell that goes over this. So that's an easy mold. And I've already made videos of making a mold similar to that. So I'm not going to video that. I don't want to teach you guys the same stuff over and over again. I want to teach you guys skills that you can use. And once that library of skills is full, you won't have need for my videos anymore, because you'll know how to take those basic skills and do anything you need to. So I'm not going to do the mold, but I haven't done anything on fur transfers. I might do a fur transfer, and I do mine differently than some of the other videos that are out there. Not much faster. Fur transfers are hard. But I will show adding the fur to this. I will show doing the mechanism. I'll probably get 2 or 3 YouTube Wednesdays out of this cat. Any other questions? Great. Now, back here you can see this is the cat's butt. I kind of want to smooth that out, make this nice. That's where this tool here, little saw blade.
It's got a hole in it.
Yeah, I'll patch that hole too.
Jackie Matlock says, it's fascinating to watch Alan work. I'm not an artist or a sculptor, but I am in awe of people who can express themselves creatively through paint and clay.
I am in awe of musicians. I have no musical talent whatsoever.
You can sing.
But I cannot sing well. I can't. I sing. I physically make the noises, but they are not the noises I'm supposed to be making. And often they're not even the words I'm supposed to be saying, because I forget the words and make up my own. But I digress. I was saying, what was I saying?
But you're an all musician.
Oh yeah, I'm in awe of musicians. They can take a hunk of wood and some steel cord and make music. That's cool. I'm not a musical based being. I don't have an iPod with 500 songs or anything. But you know, I recognize that's a talent.
Mary Fettner wants to know if Shannon sculpts also.
Shannon does not currently sculpt yet. I'm willing to bet if I had an hour of need, it's like, honey, I have to sculpt 70 of these before I can go to sleep. She would roll up her sleeves and come in the shop and do her best. So currently, I have been able to let her throw food at me and water through a hole in the garage door and get all my deadlines done.
Clean laundry and have you vaccinated.
And do laundry and have me vaccinated. So, as I haven't come to that hour of need yet. If I come to that hour of need, I will call upon her and she will answer, because she is a good woman.
Ryan Rose. Fridays or Saturdays are good days to do live streams like this, so the younger viewers like me can stay up and watch the full stream. Kelly Hartley says, has anyone asked what you will seal this with prior to molding, as well as oil-based sculpt? All right.
Odds are really good. I won't seal this sucker at all. But what you should use, and everybody, the industry standard is crystal clear. Crystal clear is a spray. I've used hairspray. I often use spray paint. Making monsters, they use spray paint quite a bit on their big stuff, and you know, all you want is you're making a little bit of a film on it. You're making a little bit of a film so that it separates a little bit easier. On oil-based clay, it doesn't really matter, but please use something. Use spray paint. Use crystal clear. Because oil-based clay is much harder to clean out of the mold.
Chris Mazzina, what's the best way to go about making a fiberglass mask out of plaster mold? Also, if so, what is the cheapest way?
Don't make a fiberglass mask out of a plaster mold. You want a rigid finished piece, you should have a flexible mold. Do a silicone mold. I did a baby mask, and I did a video on it, where I made a silicone caulk mold for that baby mask. And that I poured up in plastic. So I would definitely do it with a silicone mold. And you can do it pretty cheap, even as cheap as a plaster mold if you use silicone caulking.
Brad Goodspeed was kidding about the band, but he does have a serious question. When I last used my UltraCal 30, I noticed lots of little hard pellets as I was mixing the plaster. I assumed some droplets of water got in the bag, but maybe it's just getting old. Should I toss what I have left?
No, just sift it out. I used to have a giant sifter and strainer that I would run everything through, and a lot of the pros, you know, if you're talking to a pro, normally they're a mold maker, and they are not even the sculptor who sculpted it, but they make the molds for the sculptor who sculpted it. I'm just not that serious. You can strain all of your plaster. I just use it, and if it's a big lump, I take it out of the mold and I set it on the ground. You know, all those little ones are going to break up. I don't see any need to not use it. When you should stop using it is when the cure time becomes unpredictable. UltraCal 30 is called UltraCal 30 because it should set up in 30 minutes. And then demold in a couple hours. So if you are having issues with it kicking too fast, that means it's old.
Anthony Powers would like to suggest live stream fishing.
I would love to do live stream fishing. That'd be boring as hell because, you know, I enjoy the kayak, I enjoy the nature, and I kind of enjoy not thinking about work. I realized a few years ago that I was teaching a class for Scarborough Fair. I was at that point in time on cast, and I was director of character, costume, and dialect. And I was teaching a class, and the class was called "Your Character is Not Your Job," meaning that a character who is a baker should have a personality and not just carry around pots and pans and say, "I'm a baker, I'm a baker." They should, you know, be a baker with a gambling problem. Be a baker with Tourette's. That's interesting. You know, it's more than just your job. And as I'm teaching this class, I realized, holy crap, Alan Hops is really just his job. All that there was to me was haunted houses and monsters, because my character at the fair, Monster Hunter, worked at a monster museum that I made the monsters for. I'm a very haunted house-based life form, and that was just a good way. Fishing is a good hobby where nothing is work. You know, I'm fishing, I'm not working. And my job now as director, it's not only stuff I love to do. There's some stuff like personnel stuff. There's, you know, there's business stuff that I have to do that I don't enjoy as much as sculpting, as much as making monsters and painting and that kind of fun stuff, and set decoration. Other people get to have my fun, and I make sure they can have fun.
Kelly Dodson wants you to leave the scarred butt.
Leave the scarred butt? I'm smoothing out the butt here. I'm trying to make it a little more believable from the back end.
Kelly Hartley says she is freaking grateful, and you are very generous to do this.
Well, I'm going to be sculpting a lot of stuff because sculpting is a release that I can do. I figured out a while ago if I could do one thing, I think I would just make masks. I would sculpt masks, mold masks, and that's what I would do. I could do that. I certainly could do that. But right now I have a haunted house that's kind of relying on me to get the job done. And as long as I think I'm the best guy for the job, I'll keep doing that. If someone better comes along, I'll say, hey, here's the keys to the car, drive it right. But right now, I'm the best guy for that job, so I'm doing that. I love it, but I don't get to sculpt as much. So that's why you'll see a lot of these where I'm sculpting and, you know, hanging out with folks I know. I mean, half the people who've commented, I know them personally. You know, I've met them either at shows or I talk to them a lot online or whatever. You know, really, this is a hangout. These are a lot of my friends. Don't mind this at all. It might grow. It might be something a little bigger, and that's fine too.
Did you answer the question about the easiest and cheapest way to make a plexiglass mask out of plaster mold? Chris was eager with that.
Easiest and cheapest way is to do a silicone caulk mold of your sculpt, your clay sculpt, then do a plaster mold that's a jacket mold over top of the silicone in order so the silicone isn't floppy and holds its shape. But I made a video on that. So if you want to make a fiberglass finished product, that's what I would do. And I'm getting really close. I do want to pop some texture in there. It's going to look a little bit like fur, but what it really is it's a layer for the other hair to stick to. So I'm going to grab a big stiff brush. I'll use that stiff brush to put that texture in. That is too much of a scarred butt.
Sorry, Kelly.
Sorry, Kelly. It's got to be I need a smooth ass on this cat. I cannot handle my cat to be unsmooth. Perfect. And this stiffer brush I'm talking about is just a regular chip brush that I've cut the bristles shorter. So instead of having a lot of flex, they're just stouter. And you can't see anything that I'm doing.
Beth Mashburn says this is fascinating. Thank you for sharing your expertise.
Expertise is a very strong word, Beth. I will gladly share my time and my energy and my desire to create. But now you guys can kind of see the texture I'm putting in. I'm going to switch to a stouter brush. If I can find one.
Oh my. That's a trash brush. Oh. Maybe by the next time you do this, we can figure out how to get it where people can freely speak to you. That'd be all right.
Yeah, what I might do is, before I do the next one, is get a volunteer to take questions for me. You don't have to be in the room with me like my wife is. You can be on your end, just monitor, monitor what's going on. Probably move that chair. Big brush would not do to detail a face. So at this point, Brad probably thinks that I'm a lot like Drax the Destroyer from Guardian of the Galaxy. He has done several jokes that I have taken very seriously. Would not go over my head. My reflexes are far too fast.
I did take that.
I took the statue question seriously. Maybe Canada could benefit from a life-size statue of Alan Hobbs fighting a heat gun. Odds are really good that it would not.
Don Nichols says that if you get someone to volunteer, then they will miss me.
Well, don't let that go to your head, wife.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, if I can keep the wife pegged down and just hanging out with me in the garage, I love it.
Kind of hard to do.
But she has a life too. All right, there's some. You're never finished. You're always nitpicking and detailing, and you know I see a little clod of crud here, and you know, picking that up between the paws. Will that make a difference? Not in haunt lighting. And I'm not gonna, you know, sell this statue, you know, alone on the show floor. That's for sure. I'm now tapping the nose to get the texture off of it. I'm going to grab my phone. I'm going to take a picture of it because you really can't see it very well right through that camera. So I'm going to take a picture of it, and then I'll show you that picture.
J-Bo says that's it. He's watching Guardians of the Galaxy tomorrow.
Dude, you ain't seen Guardians of the Galaxy yet?
Oh.
That is the key. And that's closer than I intend anybody to get to him. Like I said, he's going to be on the you know, in the show at a bit of a distance.
He's going to be breathing and twitch his tail.
You know, he'll be breathing. His tail is going to be kerflopping. So from that distance, I'm happy that that looks like a sleeping kitty. That's a little bit mean. So that's been this hangout. I'm calling it Stiltbeast Sculpture Studio. I don't know what day of the week it'll be. I'm not a party guy. I wouldn't mind giving up my Friday or Saturday nights. So feel free to comment in the comments of this video. I think it's being posted to YouTube if I did it right. If not, J-Wall, I'm giving you a call because I know you know what you're doing. And thanks for watching, everybody. Kind of crazy turnout. Pretty awesome. I'm going to try to not detail this anymore and call him done, and I will mold him at work.
Jason has not seen Guardians of the Galaxy because Dawn made him go see the stupid tornado movie first, and Ian Olderich has also not seen it.
Oh.
Jackie Matlock says, art is never finished, only abandoned. And that is a quote by Leonardo da Vinci.
I like that guy. My favorite Ninja Turtle. Also an artist, I understand. Funny that they have the same name.
Mary Fettner says, that is an awesome kitty. It reminds me of our Clunk cat. It does look like Clunk. She has these chops, those bobcat chops. Looks like her cat. I've seen. You'll be shocked to know I've seen Clunk.
My wife knows all of your pets.
I know everybody's
She
pets.
may not know who you are.
I know everybody's
but
pets.
If you post pictures of your pet on Facebook or anywhere, she knows that pet. Yeah.
I need the Game of Thrones.
We recently started watching Game of Thrones. She knows all the dogs. And she's like naming them off, and I'm like, how do you know their names? They like said their names once. I don't know all the characters' names. She knows the dogs. She does not know the characters' names. Okay, so this guy. Here's what you do when you're done sculpting. I mist him down with water. Take a garbage bag, put it over, and I'm going to press it down by the sculpt. I'm not going to crush my sculpt because I could do that, but I'm going to make sure I press it down. I'm going to put some stuff on it to make sure it stays down and that hot, dry air can't get inside of here and ruin it. Well, you're done. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to sign off, and probably not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, I will have a YouTube Wednesday for you. Thanks.